Why some women cheat. Hello, gentlemen. My name is Apollonia Ponti. I'm a dating, relationship, and life coach for men. And in this video, just hear me out. I know it is frustrating. I know it can be a little overwhelming to hear at times as well. But I just really wanted to preface this and say, I'm not making a video to excuse a woman's behavior for cheating or even your behavior for cheating, but it does happen. And since I'm in a relationship dating world for men, I want you to better your love life in general, not be cheated on, not be a cheater, or really come down to understanding your boundaries and values so you can be a successful dater and really have the love life that you deserve. So in this video, I'm really going to tailor this video around reasons why women cheat. And I'm going to be honest, gentlemen, you might not like what I have to hear, but my job as a relationship and dating coach that's been in the industry, and I was one of the first women that came out in this industry giving advice to men. I've been coaching over 3,000 men for over 7 years, and that's one-on-one. I've coached 5,000 in group settings as well. So I pretty much know it happens a lot to men. It's just not talked about. But I really want to be honest with you guys as a woman myself, and as a woman that might be watching this video. It might be hard to hear, but it is my job to be truthful with you, gentlemen, and give you the understanding of why women may cheat and the reasons of why and how they do so, and just kind of bring some insight to it. Again, it's not excusing the behavior. So now that I've prefaced this video, because if I don't, I've done videos like this in the past where you guys will rail me and say you're making excuses for women when I'm not. I'm just trying to give you guys great advice so it doesn't have to happen to you. All right, so let's go into number one. Number one is, this is my truth, this is what I believe, this is what I've seen as a dating expert in this field for a long time, is typically women will always cheat. Majority of the time, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, the reason why a woman will cheat in a relationship is because she's emotionally unfulfilled from you. And women will emotionally cheat 1,000%. And the basis off of this is, number one, is because she doesn't respect you anymore. And I think what keeps attraction for a woman is respect, that she can admire and respect her man. And I talk so much about that in my attraction videos that I won't go into the why and the reasons why, because I have so many videos about that and how to become that man if you're struggling. But the reasons being is because as women, I want you to think of this, gentlemen. I think attraction is a slow burner differently for men as it is a slow burner for women, healthy attraction that is. But the reason why women choose men is because they emotionally feel safe with them. They feel some type of emotional response with them. Doesn't mean that they're out of their caliber or they're not attracted to them. They have to be somewhat attracted to them. But when I say somewhat, that attraction can grow because of the emotional aspect that he's able to give her, the emotional aspect that she desires, the emotional aspect that she craves. Okay, gentlemen? So typically when the emotional aspect goes away, the respect also dwindles down. There's a lot of times that respect can also dwindle down in a relationship because you're not staying true to your word. You've lost a lot of your masculine energy. You've really lost focus in your life and yourself. Doesn't outweigh health issues, mental health issues. That's not what I'm talking about here. Things that we have control of, you've let kind of fall on the back burner. Number two is that emotional component that I'm talking about, and it goes hand in hand. And what I'm saying is, like, she finds herself like emotionally starving from you, and like she's trying to connect from you, and she's trying to give you so many chances to connect to you, and she's not able to. And a lot of times when I've worked with couples, especially long-term couples or in long-term marriages and things like that, the reasons why this happens is because there's a lot of harbor resentment that happens in their relationships. And the harbor resentment starts to build up, and because it starts to build up, one of the couples will basically kind of check out, and they get so angry within themselves, and then the other couple, the one that's not harboring the resentment and trying to fix it, kind of gets overwhelmed with, I've done everything that I can. I've apologized. You know that I'm sorry. I know that I did wrong. But at the same time, it's not enough for that person because they have to actually let go of it and really have to prevail and see what has happened in this relationship to really make that change. And sometimes we think that time is going to change it. And what we need is different behaviors. And a lot of times people don't know how to voice it or to work through it. And that's why relationship counseling, therapy, and coaching is I'm such an advocate for, because it can really help you look at different perspectives. And so when that happens is a woman will be emotionally starving. So what happens was when she cheats is a man will give her that emotion component that she's been searching for. And if someone is starving, they're going to want to eat soon, right? And so that's why a woman will go and have an emotional affair with a man, and then it might end up being physical as well. Let's get into number 3. Number 3 is these are different type of women that they have like more calculated values, right? So the calculated values is like, I'm a woman, and so this man needs to do this for me. You'll typically find these more in transactional relationships, meaning her beauty is the monetary source while your money is the monetary source. Or you baited her in to be with you because of your financial well-being. And so typically in relationships like this, if the finance falls off or the beauty falls off, one of them will cheat. So it's basically calculated values, meaning superficial values, really. And this is another reason why a woman will cheat, is because you started a relationship based on calculated needs, superficial needs, and then when those superficial needs aren't met, typically they'll go and find someone else. And it's not to say that this is the right way to go about a relationship, because it's not. It's definitely something opposite of what I talk about, because that's not healthy, but it is common in our dating world. And I've seen these relationships, and I've coached men that have been in them and don't know why they get in relationships like this. It's because they leave with wealth and their money. And we'll talk about that soon in another video. Let's get into number 4. They are women who are emotionally and physically abusive and tend to be narcissistic at times. I love it because I was watching an interview, I can't remember who it was, and I love that she said this. And she was like, typically half the time when someone says someone is a narcissist, it's them being the narcissist. And I was like, it's so crazy how like we have this whole narcissist society that just wants to label people as narcissists. And the moment you put a standard down, the moment you put your feet down, the moment that you don't let someone cross your boundaries, the moment that you are really strict with your own personal territory, they'll call you a narcissist, right? And so basically, when you know that you're in a physical and emotional abusive or mental abusive relationship, you'll know by the disrespect that you're dealing with. They don't acknowledge, your emotions. They cut you off half the time. They belittle you. They don't bring you up in today's world. Like they're not your cheerleader. They don't seem like they're your rock. They're always kind of trying to make the story as a victim or the story about them instead of you. They're not open to criticism. They're not open to open communication and solving something. Plain and simple, when you communicate, no matter if you're right or wrong, you will know when someone has toxic communication skills if they go into 2 things in communication. 1 is they're always trying to be right, and 2 is they're never trying to see where you're coming from. Because people relationship skills, this is something I've learned in business, something I've learned in my relationships, something I've learned in my friendships. And moving forward in 2024, I made a promise to myself, and actually in 2022, I made a promise to myself that all my friendships are going to have the same communication skills that I have. And that is those 2 things. Because I've learned that if any relationship doesn't have that, then you are going to be shooting rocks over and over and over in your relationships. And that's why it's so important to ideally understand what that feels like within your friendships and outside relationships. Because if you don't know what that feels like, you're probably going to get into more toxic relationships with women that are mentally and emotionally and physically abusive. And unfortunately, it does happen a lot in the men community. It's just not talked about because men hide it. And so this is super, super, super important. Typically, women who are abusive will somewhat cheat, either emotionally or physically, because they feel like they have that power. Same goes vice versa for men too. Number 5 is addictions. I've seen where women are addicted to pills or drugs or alcohol, and they blame this on why they cheated in their relationships. And it's unfortunate, but substance abuse becomes a whole nother world. And in my coaching experience, I've worked with addicts, people that are in the midst of addiction and also outside of the midst of addiction. And one thing you have to understand about addicts is like that part of them is always going to be with them, and they just don't want that part of them to be brought out because of the addictions, right? And so they know who that person is. They know how they act. They know what decisions they make. And it's kind of like they see themselves as another person when they do tolerate these addictions. And so many times, like, we'll excuse someone's behavior because they've cheated on us because of addictions. But at the same time, when I see a couple together and the man is choosing to be this woman that's addictive to something, It doesn't mean that it's a toxic relationship all the time, but it does mean that you have to give her the way to figure things out herself. And the only thing that you can do is be a guiding light in her world, but understand that she has the opportunity to possibly mess this up. And so men that are in relationships with women who have addictions and suffer from addictions, if she's not working through it, if she's not going through AA, if she's not trying to get clean, if she hasn't been clean for a while, this is where you have to be very, very tedious with just open communication, taking a seat back, and really not giving it all of your power to solutions of getting her to stop drugs because of you. That person has to want it, and part of wanting it is to have a relationship with you. Number 6 is lack of attention, and they crave when someone gives this them. Okay, so typically every once in a while you'll find this with women that are just really wanting attention. And this comes down to values too, like what does she do for a living, things like that. But lack of attention, she feels like you don't give her enough attention. So she looks at it as like it's a free pass for her to cheat on you because you don't give her the attention. So if another man gives her attention, then she's just going to take that, which is absolutely false, because you also have to communicate about the reasons why you're not giving her attention and what type of attention does she need. Like, she has to actually be able to explain that to you, and you have to be able to explain the reasons why you're not giving it to her, right? But some women are addicted to that, you know, just as much as men are addicted to that too. I'm not trying to preface this as only women, right? It's the same thing, men and women. And so what's really important here is to understand that typically when you get into a relationship with a woman like this, you will notice this in the beginning stages. The next one is like a getting even. Like, she wants to get even because of harbored resentment in the relationship that you've had. Maybe she's very angry with you, or maybe you cheated on her before in the past, or she's trying to self-sabotage some difficult feelings that she's facing in this relationship. I was coaching a couple that had 4 children, and she had so much harbored resentment over years, and I can see why she was trying to get other men's attention. It doesn't excuse it, okay? But what I'm saying is, when someone doesn't work through the relationship problems, they're only going to manifest into something more until they crumble or explode. And so it's a ticking time bomb. So don't let your relationship become a ticking time bomb. The only ways that you can is the both of you need to be committed. And that's something I talk about in my tools of a healthy relationship. Choose a woman that chooses commitment and knows what commitment looks like. Commitment does not look like I'm going to step on all your toes and I'm going to disrespect you in the relationship, but you're committed to me, so you should still show up and try to work through it, because then I have all these issues and I'm trying to work on them, but yet your actions are saying otherwise. Remember that, gentlemen and women that you're choosing. Last but not least is sexual deprivation. I think this is really important to talk about. Like, you know, a lot of times I've seen where women will cheat because of sexual deprivation. Maybe there's a health problem going on with her husband or her boyfriend, or something is going on where years and years has happened and they have not had sex, and then she just wants to have intimacy with a man. And so, not to say that's right, and that's not what this video is for, gentlemen, but I'm just giving you basically the reasons of why some women will cheat, and then what I've seen basically out of the practice of my coaching. And when sexual deprivation happens, you know, as humans, we crave attention, we crave affection, we crave physical touch, we crave love. And unfortunately, you know, some couples will reach an agreement if he can't be sexual with her or intimate with her to do other things, or they'll reach an agreement that she can go outside of the relationship every once in a while. But if an agreement's not made, and that's not for me to judge, but if agreement's not made and she just goes over that because of sexual deprivation, because you've been busy with work and it's only been a month in or 2 months in, and she uses that toward you, that's actually mental and emotional abuse. And so I would really, really highly encourage you to understand that when you go into this dating world with women, it's really important for you. I don't want you to be scared after hearing this video and be like, oh my God, there's so many toxic women out there. No, there's so many great women out there too. But it's up to you to choose who you want to be in your life. And the only way you can do that is really ideally knowing what you want and putting in the work to really figure out, like, what type of woman do I want to be with? What type of man am I? And what are my pitfalls in how I choose women, and how can I get better in my dating life, okay? Everywhere in our life, in our society, we look at life like this. Like, how can I get better at work? How can I become a better driver? How can I become a better skier? How can I become a better cook? But yet when it comes to relationships and love, we think it's like some simp move or some like stupidness to like hire a coach to help you with attracting women. Like, no, it's the same thing. And that's what society has done to men in love and relationships, because I think like men in this day and age are starving for a connection more than ever. And our society implanted seeds in men's heads to say simp this, simp that. But yet when you're home, you're unhappy. And when you're in relationships, you're unhappy. So if this is speaking to you, what do you want to do about that? Right? So if you want to take the next steps, I would encourage you to click the link below. You can book a call to see if you can work with me with my 3-month attraction program called the Algorithm of Attraction Program. This is where I get men significant results, and I can guarantee you, you will come out of this program feeling like a new man and really attracting high quality women as long as you invest your time and your work into this program. I have a great success rate. So if you want to and see if you're a good fit, you can book a free call right below. And also too, if you need some immediate coaching in regards to a situation, you can visit my website at apolloniaponti.com and go to coaching, and we will see you in there with me or some of my partner coaches. As always, if this is your first time visiting, I welcome you to hit that subscribe button and the like button. Comment below, gentlemen. Tell me what you think. Tell me what's going on in your head. And if you want to continue watching, I have this next video right over here. This next video is all about basically how to attract women without compromising your standards. I think that video goes hand in hand with what we just talked about today. So go ahead and watch that next, and I'll see you again in the next one. And remember, you are always loved. Bye for now.